Okay, we are live. See if I can get it up here on my phone. There we are. And there's two of us here so far. So we'll get a few minutes. Anybody that's here, it's a little bit over. I need to move it around a bit. Make sure I'm hooked in, or we'll have one of those moments where suddenly everything falls on the floor.
Or you'll fall flat in your face, right?
Yeah, that could be. Hi, Julie. Julie is here. And we'll give everybody else a couple of minutes. I'm a little bit tired out today, so I'll just let Walter take over.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Well, somebody said to me today at the crop, well, Walter's come out of his shell. And I said, one, he was never in a shell. Probably the people didn't know him.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, and two, I said, we'll just call it the Walter Show.
Oh, what do you mean? That
Well,
I
we do
talk
what?
more now on the
Yeah. Mm-hmm. We got 7 people now. Okay, so let us know who's here. And if you're somebody who doesn't usually have anything to say in the chat, feel free to say something so we know that you're there. I know there's lots of people that we call lurkers in the background, and that's fine. You don't have to say anything profound, just say hi. That's okay. Just let us know who you are. You're there, because everybody's welcome. So, I guess we should probably get started. It is Super Bowl Sunday. Not that we care. We don't follow football. I just can't imagine watching a sport where people kick a ball around 9 holes and then run bases. I don't get football. You got that, did you? Yeah, okay, fine. Funny. Cindy's here. Hi, Cindy.
I can handle baseball.
And
better.
Roy is here. Bootsy Sweet Tarts. Hello, Bootsy. Or Roy, I should say. Nice to see you or hear you here. Yeah, so anyways, yeah, Super Bowl Sunday, yay, Raw. I think a lot of people watch it who don't watch football, watch it for the halftime show and the commercials.
That's probably the best part.
Yeah, that's probably the best part. Roy says, thank you for the great review. No problem, Roy. Enjoy your videos and your creations that you have there. They are definitely unique and one of a kind. And if you don't know what we're talking about here, the rest of you, I put my vlog up, which usually goes up on Mondays, but I put it up today, this morning, because, and I explain it in the vlog, I don't have any time tomorrow to do it. It's been a busy week, and it's not going to get any less busy next week, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Mal's here. Hi, Mal. And, okay, so, and Andy is here. So, what's been going on? Update my mother, she's fine. Moving on. Coming up on my vlog, already said that it's already up. The reason it's already up is the same reason I had last week. This week, we've had classes, especially me. I said I had a quilt class on Monday. I had a quilt class on Tuesday. We went to see my mother on Wednesday. Thursday, I had a quilt class. Friday, I had a sewing retreat from 9:30 to 11 o'clock, although I didn't stay until 11 o'clock at night. I came home. What time did I come home? You had a class Friday night. So I came home just before you got home. So I was home about 9 o'clock-ish.
Yeah, I was home just after 9.
Yeah. And then back at it again on Saturday. And it was fun. And I could have been there today, too, as well for it, because it ran until 4 o'clock today, Sunday. But I had my regularly scheduled art journal class. That's the reason, as you know, that we're on at 5 o'clock instead of 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. And it's just been go, go, go. And then tomorrow, I've got a doctor's appointment first thing in the morning. I have to check my blood pressure.
I hope you don't expect me to drive you there.
No, I'm going to drive my... No, you won't be up. Forget it. It's just, I think she just wants to check the medication on the blood, and it's not working. I don't think this medication she's giving me is doing anything for my blood pressure, because I monitor my blood pressure every day, and it's been about the same since I've been on this drug. Although it has a side effect where you get a cough, and yeah, I've been affected by that, but it always seems to come around this time of the day, right about now. So if I cough through this, you'll know I'm not sick. I don't have a cold. It's a reaction to the medication. So I guess she'll probably want to check it to see if she needs to adjust it or put me on something different. I don't know. And then at 10 o'clock, I have my sewing class. So I'll just be ripping out from the doctor's. She's usually pretty much on time, and having it at 9 o'clock in the morning, I think I'm her first appointment of the day.
Yeah, well,
So, and she's pretty efficient, and seems to be so far pretty much on time with things. Not like my old doctor. Oh, God.
I think there's only one time I remember where she was late, and it was right after a March break or something like that.
Hi, Laura. Yeah, but anyways, then I got to rip off to my sewing class, and that's from 10 until about 12:30 or something like that. So, and there will be homework. And this particular class didn't realize how many tiny pieces there are. And in my vlog, I showed you my 2 blocks that make up this quilt. And there
Well, I
are,
thought tomorrow was Karen's class.
no, Karen's class is Thursday afternoon.
Oh, okay.
Tomorrow's Donna's class.
Oh, I see.
The dynamic quilt, which is a great looking quilt. But I worked on it at the retreat this Saturday and Friday and Saturday, and I did not get. It took me all day Friday and part of yesterday. No, it took me all day. No, yeah, and part of yesterday to get 2 blocks done. I mean, I haven't got all the material cut for it, but I'm doing the blocks as I get material cut for them because I want to see what the blocks look like. And it was a good thing. I ripped out more blocks yesterday, but I'm getting very picky. This time last year, if I got it done and it looked halfway decent, I was happy. Now, if something doesn't line up exactly, I rip it out and do it again. And that's what's taking me a lot of time. But the retreat was great because I got a lot of advice from a lot of the ladies who are very experienced in doing quilting. And I wish I had talked to them before I started making the half square triangles. Half square triangles are basically squares that have a diagonal line where it's one kind of material and another kind of material. And the way you make them, they're not difficult to make, but I have to make 320 of these little buggers. And that's only part of the pattern. And so it gets a little tedious. And the way I was told to do it was I got this little special ruler from the instructor, and you draw a little diagonal line, 2 diagonal lines from point to point. Your 2 pieces of fabric are together, and you stitch down those 2 lines. Then you cut it in half, and then you have to press them open, and you have 2 half square triangles. Well, that takes a while. Now I've done them another way where you don't have to draw any, you only draw 1 line from diagonal to diagonal. Set up your sewing machine so you follow the line, but your needle's a 1/4 inch over from that line, and it does the 2 sides. Well, not at the same time, but whatever. And then somebody was telling me about a program you can buy, and I bought it. And it was expensive. It was costing me with the exchange rate, shipping. Shipping was as much as the disc. It's a CD-ROM. It's called Triangulations. And basically, you tell the program what size half square triangles you want to make, and it prints you out a pattern. But it's a paper piecing kind of thing. And I've done this kind of thing before, where you lay your fabric with the pattern on top of it, and you sew all around certain lines, and then you have other lines you cut, and it makes very accurate half square triangles, and there's no guesswork to it. Of course, you have to peel the paper off it, which is another step. But if you're making a lot of half square triangles like I am, it seems to be a better method. And then this lady was showing me yesterday a certain ruler that she has that works really well if you're making a lot of half square triangles out of the same fabric. So you do it on strips. Anyways, this is probably Greek to anybody who doesn't quilt with it all. But needless to say, this is a very involved quilt. And I am not going to get it done in the time that we have for the classes. I think we have 4 more classes or something. There is no way.
Well, maybe that's why the reason that Donna has it on there listed is it's kind of a tear your arrow challenge.
Yeah, and it is. It's going to be nice, though, when it's done. So it'll be worth it. And it's a queen size, too. That's another thing that makes it a little bit more involved because more pieces. The other class is a little simpler because it's a basic pattern. It's an old-fashioned traditional block called a log cabin. My pieces are already cut for it, and you just basically sew around a square. And you gotta make 20 of these blocks. But it's slightly different from the traditional pattern, but it'll look nice. But it's not quite as involved. But when you've got 2 quilts on the go, and then I have a third quilt. And this one is paper piecing, and it's a landscape. It's an art quilt. And it isn't difficult, but it's got like about 400 bloody pieces where you have to cut pieces of fabric out and lay them down on this pattern and sew them around. Then you have to cut that, and then you sew the next one. And yeah, I bit off more than I can chew. But it's okay. I will get it done. And then we have a 4th class, but that doesn't start, and it's only 2 sessions, where we're making one of those rugs. We've talked about that before.
It's a braided rug, but it's using fabric.
Yeah. So we're both taking that class. And yeah, if I'm not nuts by the end of the month, I should be. But yeah, keeps me off the street. But then to go back to what I said, that is why my vlog I had to do this morning, because I'm not going to need time tomorrow to do it. So anyways, this is the life of a retired person.
Did you post it today?
Yeah.
Well, why didn't you wait till tomorrow to post it?
Because I'm not going to be here to do it.
Oh.
It takes an hour and a half to post it.
Oh.
And basically, there it is. So, okay. What are people thinking here? Julie says, do you do 3 blood pressures a day, Stephen? Nope. I do 1 in the morning, and then I take a second reading after that, right immediately after it. Now, I probably should do it in the morning and in the evening or something like that, but I don't. I do 2 readings because my first reading is always wacko. It's like, it says my blood pressure, my systolic, the top number is like 142. And my bottom number, the diastolic, is like 94. And my pulse is like 102. And then I take a second reading after that, and suddenly it drops to like 132 or 126. And the diastolic usually stays in about the same, or it doesn't really drop too much from that. And my pulse usually might drop 2 beats or something from 102 to 110 or 100 or something like that. I don't know. I think I've always had a fast pulse rate. But she has me like panicking over this because I should be, the good range is about 135 over 85 and pulse rate 60 to 80. Huh?
Yeah, mine's always like 66 or 67.
Well, you must be dead. I mean, really. So I don't know. I have to talk to her about that tomorrow. Like, should I be worried? She did tell me last time I was in, well, you don't really have a heart murmur, but you might have a slightly leaky valve.
Maybe that's why your heart rate's up.
I don't know. I'm leaking. I have no idea. But she says it was nothing to really get too worried about. Like, it wasn't like I would immediately need surgery or anything. Well, that was comforting. My old doctor never said anything about it. He took my blood pressure, never said anything. Nothing, so I don't know. Anyways, that's life. Bootsy says, I'm an expert insewer, or unsewer, he means. Yeah, I know. I'm really good with a ripper, too. And I have an electric one. Roy says, will you send out any of them for long arm quilting? No. I'll quilt it myself. So far, I have done that with everyone. Now, I'm not going to pretend that the quilting is excellent. And a lot of it's been walking foot quilting, which is very easy. I have moved into doing ruler foot quilting a little bit, and that kind of leads to more free motion. But I don't know, maybe in the future I might consider it, but right now I feel that if you send it out to a long arm quilter, and many people do, it's not your quilt anymore. It's your quilt and the other person's quilt. And I would rather have a quilt that may be imperfect from the quilting, but I know that I did it. And you get better with practice, I guess. That's what everybody says. We still got to take that course in long arm quilting anyways. There's a place here that does that, and I've talked about that before. I know that there are some people who, they love to piece, but they hate to quilt and they hate to bind. And so they've got 2 other people doing that for them. So you got this team effort. I guess it depends on what you want. But to me, it's my hobby. It's something that I'm learning from. I want to do. It's my work of art, give or
Kind
take.
of like a job. There's one
Yeah.
part of the job that you really like. There's little parts of the job that you don't
Yeah.
really like. And actually, I don't think people like to quilt because they're not confident at quilting.
There's a lot of pressure. Your mouth's full. I think there's a lot of people put themselves under a lot of pressure to be perfect when it comes to the quilting part. And the reason being is you see these beautiful, beautiful quilts on YouTube and things. A lot of those quilts that like the Missouri Star Company and Jordan Fabrics, they piece them all together, put them all together, but they're not really quilting them. They are being quilted electronically. They put them on a long arm that has a program on it. You tell it where to start, what pattern you want, and it takes over. And I have nothing against that. Believe me, I have nothing against that because I love machines. And if a machine will do it for me,
Well,
I love it.
what's the difference between
I
that
know
and
what you're
sending
gonna
it out?
Because it's non-human and I don't have to give credit to the machine. But I don't know. Well, you still have to learn how to set up the machine. You still have to learn. It's not just a matter of pushing two buttons, but I don't know. Maybe there isn't anything different about it, but I don't know. It's my art. I want to do my thing with it.
Maybe it's the idea that somebody else is touching your product and it's.
Well, it's like an artist. How many artists, they might like to paint backgrounds, but they don't want to do anything with the foreground. So do they send it out and get somebody to paint the foreground? Then does it become their
Yeah,
art?
well, okay, well, what about an artist that paints a painting and gets somebody to frame it for them?
Well, that's different. That's hardware.
If you do a quilt and you get somebody else to do the binding,
That's not hardware. The binding isn't hard. It's a pain. It's after you've put all this much work into a quilt and you've spent all this time, doing the patchwork and the whole bit. When you get to the point where you have to bind it, binding is grunt work, But it isn't difficult. But it is a little bit tedious. And I have to admit, when the first few quilts that I bound, I could see why people would send it out to somebody else to do it because I struggled with it. But the last couple of quilts I've done, there's been no problem with the binding. You learn. And I figured that's the same thing with free motion quilting. It takes time.
well, I think it
you
takes
learn.
time to learn, and you have to go through the trials and tribulations of all the.
And you don't
I mean,
start with the most
the
elaborate
regular
patterns.
the regular quilters that do it on a regular basis had to learn somehow.
Yeah. I mean, I do think some people have a real talent for it. It's like artists. Some people can draw figures, others can do landscapes, but they can't necessarily do both. It's the same thing, I think, in quilting. There are people who absolutely loathe piecing a quilt together, but they love doing the free arm or free motion quilting on it, and they're good at it. So I guess they have. Well, those are the ones that are businesses. There's lots of people out there that will quilt your quilt for you.
I have to admit, I haven't really done anything, but that actually appeals to me the most. Is not so much the piecing, but the actual quilting process.
Yeah.
But I need to practice.
See, I think I kind of lean more a little bit right now towards I enjoy the piecing of it. I'm not so sure about the quilting of it, but that's because I get uptight. Somebody at the quilt retreat said, the best way to practice? Have a glass of wine while you're doing it. After a couple of glasses of wine, you'll be very free with
That's
it.
why Angela Walters always has.
Yeah,
that.
she has. Well, we were talking about that. I said, but she lives dangerously. She always has a glass of red wine near it. And one of the other ladies that thinks, she says, while I'm quilting, she says, I only drink white wine. In case I spill it, at least the white won't show up as bad. So what are people saying? Andy says, are you taking a long arm class? We're hoping to soon. We haven't made any plans for it, but there's a place here that will do it.
When our time frees up.
Yeah, when our time frees up. I can't see us taking it before we come back,
No.
until after we come back from Australia. So sometime in the spring, but we will have to do it because I really want to take it. I want to see the ins and outs of it because all I've done is observe what people do on YouTube more than anything. And Julie says you need to do 3 readings and write the best one down.
For your blood pressure.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've been doing an average. I've set it up in like
Actually, you're supposed to do it different times of the day.
Yeah, I know you are. Okay, well, I'll talk to her about it. But yeah, it seems like, okay, now I got to remember to take my blood pressure 3 times a day too, amongst everything
Yeah, well,
else.
I don't.
Like, really?
That's why I don't do it half the time.
Yeah, okay, so you do as I say, not as I do. But yeah, I know you should do that. I have it set up sort of in a spreadsheet, so I do it'll calculate the average from all my readings. My average isn't bad. My average is actually 133.4 out of all those readings. But the individual readings, some days I'm high, some days I'm low. I never get both green lights on that little meter.
No, you won't.
I got it once.
You won't. Mine's always yellow, so.
Yeah. So I don't know. Well, I'll talk to the doctor and see what she says. Julie says, "Do not panic. Everyone's different. Most people have a leaky hole." Oh. Well, I guess that all depends, right? You get that? A leaky hole. That's pretty good, Julie. Luna's here. Lana's here. I'm not sure. I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it. Your name. Julie says valve. Sorry, leaky valve. Phyllis is here. Hi, Phyllis. And Lana would like to know if we could fill her glass. No problem. Virtual champagne. Roy says, you mentioned Darlene Michaud here before. She only makes quilt tops and sells them, so the buyer finishes it. Batting, quilt back, quilting and binding. Not my idea of making a quilt. To be honest, her quilts are ugly. Sorry, but they are. She always sells fabric. She makes big bucks, actually. She's very much an entrepreneur. I guess she goes and buys bolts and bolts of fabric. She has somebody cut it all down into different lots for her, into fat quarters and squares and things like that. And then she has sort of an auction on eBay or on her Patreon or something and sells these. And I think she does okay on it. I would question the quality of the fabrics that she's buying because she's not paying top dollar for them. Which maybe she's got a wholesale or vendor's license or something. Actually, I think she did mention she had a vendor's license. So maybe she can get them at a cheaper rate, maybe because she buys so much of it. But honestly, looking at the stuff she shows...
Yeah, I know. Like when we went in, we were in Florida. We went into a couple of Joann's, and we're used to buying fabric at a quilting store. And they have premium fabrics.
At a good price.
At a really good price.
Really good price, actually.
So I'm really always been very, even
picky?
buying clothes, picky about the quality of the fabric and stuff like that. Not so much, I don't care so much whether it's a designer, but just the quality of the fabric. And you really, when you're used to buying the stuff at the quilting store, you really notice a difference between the really cheap stuff and
yeah.
Because the stuff Walmart sells is really kind of cheap.
Oh, it is. You can feel it. The weight isn't there. The weave is too open. And I would question the color fastness of it as well. But back to Darlene. And I don't want to throw her under the bus or anything. She's a very interesting character. If she wasn't, I wouldn't have reviewed her YouTube channel. I actually do enjoy watching her because in spite of her language... because everything else that comes out of her mouth is the F word, but she makes no apologies for that. She's very real. She's interesting. She blows off those quilt tops, though, in no time. But if you look at them, the design of most of them are very... Okay, I don't want to make this sound negative. They're a very simple design. They're squares, they're rectangles. She does crumb quilts. Actually, I watched one of her things about doing a crumb quilt, and because of that, I did a crumb quilt as well, which is basically just pushing together all your little scraps and pieces and whatnot, and you don't really care about the size. And actually, it turned out pretty good. So that was kind of a neat idea. And there's the doorbell. Who the heck's at our door? Anyways, so I don't want to throw her under the bus or anything like that. I'm just saying that really... she's an entrepreneur. She knows how to sell stuff, and if people will buy her quilt tops, then so be it.
You got any money?
Whatever. Why? What do you need?
For Paperboy.
Go downstairs in my change thing. pull out some loonies there. Sorry, Paperboy's collecting. Okay.
Change thing downstairs.
You know, my coin sorter. There's toonies and loonies in that thing and whatnot. Okay, so what are people saying here? Anyways, I don't want to throw her under the bus because I'm not throwing her under the bus. Actually, she had a really interesting vlog from her car the last couple of days ago. You should watch it because I really agree with her. She was trying to get decent customer service. She was talking about the customer service at a grocery store that she usually shops at, Hannaford's or something. I think she's in Maine. I've never heard of this chain. If it is a chain, it may be a local store. But I guess she has a very peculiar diet. She only eats meat. She doesn't eat fruit. She doesn't eat vegetables. She just eats meat. And that's the kind of thing. So she likes the roast beef or something in the deli counter, I guess, at this particular store. But she likes it where it's kind of on the rare side. And they won't cut it for her. If she goes in and she sees it's an end piece or something, she wants them to cut into a new one so she can get the rare part closer to the center. And they won't do it for her. And they say, well, corporate says we can't do this and blah, blah, blah. So she'd had enough of this, and she's basically said, I'm not shopping there ever again. At first glance, you might think that she's being extremely picky. But on the other hand, the customer's always right? And if you're going in to buy something specific that the store has, why couldn't they do this to accommodate her? It's a sale. So I don't blame her for being uptight like that. But that's what makes her videos very interesting. And she has quite a following. She's very successful on YouTube. She makes money on it. That's her business. That's really her business. So anyways, but how did I get onto Darlene Michaud? Oh, the quilt thing. Yeah, that was there. Well, let's see what other people are saying. Yeah, that was Roy. And Mel says, I was just playing with speed setting with YouTube video. 2 times speed and S&W sound like Chip and Dale. Okay, Mel, are you bored? Don't even sound like this. Okay, whatever. And Lorna says you actually say it as Lorna. Oh, that's how you say your name, Lorna. Well, that's not hard for me to remember. My mother's name is Lorna. Andy says, my sister Janine is watching, but she can't do chat. She says hi. Oh. I wonder why she can't do chat. Oh, well.
Because she's sitting next to him.
Sitting next to who?
Whoever.
No, that was Andy. Suzuki. Is that Andy's a woman?
Oh.
In that. Your message made her feel very welcome. Oh, good. Well, she's welcome. Yeah, everybody's welcome. More the merrier. Roy says, I learned a lot about technical and in marketing on YouTube from her. Yeah, you mean Darlene. Yeah, she's pretty savvy about how to make money on YouTube. Phyllis says, Hannaford's is all over New England. It's where all the kids work as beggars when they're in high school. Okay. And Mel says, not bored, just tired. It's 12:30 in the morning there. Okay. Janine. That's how you say her name. Okay, thanks, Andy. Or Jeannie. Is it Jeannie? Am I saying it right? Just say yes.
Jeannie.
Yeah, Jeannie. Lorna says, I did not know your mom's name is Lorna. Yep, it is. Which is actually kind of rare. You don't hear a lot of people called Lorna.
Yeah, not a lot of Lornas.
No, not really. So, anyways, moving on. Talked about Ultimate Sewing. The sewing retreat was fun. It was in a little community hall, actually the German club in our town. And actually a nice little venue for us. I think there was about 30 ladies there. And me.
Do you have any sauerkraut?
No, but I think the custodian was pissed off with us, and he might have been German. No.
Of course, you're careful in the bathroom.
Yeah, this is funny. I'm the only man in this, right? And of course, the washrooms is the ladies and gentlemen. So I'm the only gentleman, except for Trevor, who was the cook for our meals. But I don't think Trevor was using the bathroom. Ooh. I just thought of it. He was a cook.
As long as he washed his hands.
Yes, I think he did. I don't think there was a problem there. Actually, the food was very good. It was very simple, but the food was very good. And I think today they were having schnitzel. but I didn't go today because I was teaching my art journal class. We had like roast chicken last night for dinner, and it was it was a boneless chicken breast. He had some kind of like sort of a spice on it. I'm not sure what it was, but it was very tasty. And with the gravy and mashed potatoes and some vegetables and like that were mixed vegetables with mushrooms and things in it. And the chicken was very, very moist. So that was good. And I think we had soup and a sandwich. We had a soup. Now, they must have got a sale on artichokes. We had a salad with we had quiche yesterday for lunch with a salad. The salad had artichokes in it, sliced artichokes, but the soup the day before was soup and a sandwich. It was a chicken salad sandwich. And the soup was tomato based with chickpeas in it, green onions, and it had artichokes, sliced artichokes in it. It was very tasty, but I don't think I've ever had a salad or a soup with artichokes in it, and I like artichokes. So actually, that might be something for the future to try with it. But the food was very good. But the bathroom, there's a sign on the wall. I came out and told the lady, it says, okay, something unique about the gentleman's bathroom. Of course, gentlemen's bathrooms have urinals, right? I hate urinals. But there's a sign where it says, we aim to please. So please make sure your aim is accurate. Don't pee on our floor. I was extra cautious because I thought, oh shoot, if I miss, they'll know it was me. So actually, I was just wiping up the counter afterwards when I washed my hands and everything because I didn't want to make a mess in there. But not that I do, but kind of a thing. But it was a great retreat. It was a lot of fun. I didn't get as much done as I thought I'd get done. And I have my little electric seam ripper. And it became a joke. Every time I turned it on, they go, oh, Steve's manscaping again. So, and every time I turned it on, they knew, oh, made another mistake. And I went, yes. But it was fun. I enjoyed it. I'm glad I went. Let's see. Julie's here. The other Julie. She says hello all. Okay, so anyways, the retreat was good. Art journal class today. It was good too. It was a little smaller group today because Super Bowl on and everything. But next month, today was a free-for-all. Every other month we do a free-for-all, which means bring whatever, do whatever you want to do. Takes the pressure off me.
Didn't you have, before you do art class, didn't you do a special project in your retreat? Like your your bag? Your little bag
yeah, my bag. I showed that on my vlog this morning. So if you want to see now Phyllis made a comment. She wanted to know if I was going to do a video about how to do the bag and the tool caddy. And actually, I probably can. And I may down the road. The bag was really cool. It's like a utility bag, like a kit bag. And you made it out of a quilted placemat. It was very easy. You can rattle one of these suckers off in 10 minutes or less. You just need a zipper.
There's some tutorials on YouTube that you can look up.
Yeah, but they're more involved. The ones we were watching last night, they had more details in them than what we did, and I had the same product at the end of it. But do check out the vlog if you want to see it, because I'm not getting off my stool and going downstairs and getting it right now, because I don't want to. But check that out. And the other is the tool caddy. Where's your tool caddy?
Go
get it.
I don't have any tools in here.
Yeah, I made one, and to see how it worked. And what it is those plexiglass acrylic single picture frames. They're just plastic and they come out at the bottom so they stand up. Well, you use one of those, but you make this cover for it that has pockets. And you slip this pocket or this little sleeve over the top of it, and you can put in your scissors and your ripper and other utilities and stuff, and it just sits next to your sewing machine. It's very equivalent. What's that? Oh, you put some. So I made one for Walter as well. I made one for myself, one for Walter. So there it is right there. So you see it's on this plexiglass frame. There's the bottom there. And this just slips over the top of it. And it's got a lot of pockets in it. It's got pockets here at the front for your scissors and other tools for them. There's another pocket or two pockets in behind here. And there's a pocket in the back as well. Actually, you could slip in a pad of paper. I slipped in a pad of sticky notes in there because you use it. But It's very, very easy to make. And I was going to look up on YouTube to see if anybody's got it on YouTube. I'm sure someone's got a video about it on YouTube. But Phyllis wanted me to do a tutorial on how to make one of these, and I might just do that. I was actually thinking of making one that's a little bigger, you know, because you can get the bigger frames too. I just have to adjust the size of the amount of fabric, but that's not hard. But this I can just tuck in my bag when I go to a class and just sit it up, and all my stuff is right there. Because you don't have a lot of room when you're in a sewing class, and people tend to pick up by accident your equipment. Not good, because I have $100 worth of scissors, a pair of scissors that cost like almost $100. Thank God for Michael's coupons. And I don't want them to be accidentally picked up by somebody. So it just keeps things organized neat, but I thought it was really cool. So I made one for Walter too, so we can look like the Bobbsey twins when we go in March to the big retreat. We'll both have these. We won't be the only ones with them, I can tell you that. Probably every other person going there's got one of those too. There's actually a class at Ultimate Sewing and how to make one of these. It must be just a one session class, because
Yeah, I think it's
you make this in
it's
20
a
minutes.
Day. It's a one day thing.
Yeah, well, you make this in 20 minutes. It's not hard. Anyways, it was kind of fun. So as I said, learned a lot of things that day. And if you want to see the bag, just go on my vlog and I show it there near the beginning. So the art journal class was good. We're getting ready. Well, I had to talk to them today about what we're doing. The next art journal class in March will be the last one until about June, because in March we're going to do what we call a altered object. So I told them the rule is this: you cannot do any mixed media in your art journal. It has to be on some different type of substrate, and it should be a substrate that's three-dimensional. So it could be like they know about my shoes, and I've shown those before, or it could be a birdhouse, it could be a picture frame, it could be a record, it could be whatever. And I told them, bring your glue gun for this as well. And they're all kind of excited about doing something like this. Some of them have already done some of these on their own. One lady today was working on a chalkboard. It was a chalkboard heart she got somewhere. I think she got it for nothing. And she was doing it, she's into steampunk, so she did it steampunk theme. It turned out really nice. So that's what we're doing in March. Then in April, we're in Australia when the next class comes up. They have decided they're going to run their own class without me. Well, they were at least kind enough to say, did I mind? I said, no, go for it. I said, if the owner of the store says it's okay that you want to do that, then go for it. So that's the kind of group they are. They're pretty independent now. They don't really need me. As long as they pay their fee, so I get paid, I don't care. So they're doing their own in April. May, we're going to a big crop. The store's doing a crop. If you don't know what a crop is, it's a term used for scrapbooking, retreats kind of a thing. But this is much wider than scrapbooking. It's card make, it's paper crafts, it's whatever you want to do. So a bunch of us from my class, we're all going together. It's just here in our town, so it's not like an overnight stay or anything, but it's a couple of days. Actually, it's 3 days long. Starts on the Friday night, goes Saturday, goes Sunday. And that would be our Sunday for our class. And so I said, well, do you want to put the class then to the next weekend? I didn't think about it. The next weekend's Mother's Day. So that's no good. The weekend after that's our long weekend here in Canada, Victoria Day. So that weekend's no good because a lot of people, that's the unofficial beginning of the summer season in a sense. It's really not summer yet, but people go, they have cottages. That's the weekend they often go to their cottages to open them up for the season, or their trailers and things like that. So after March, we won't be having another class, official class, until June. And then we stop for the summer because I don't run them in July and August. So anyways, we got the year planned. But we're talking about, I said to them, there'll be other people there that don't know what mixed media is. So we may be the weird people in this group. A lot of them will be scrapbookers and card makers. So I said, why don't we all bring a couple of pieces of our own work that we like and put them on display? and show them the variety of things you can do with mixed media. And they like that idea. So one of the people in the group, she's helping the store owner organize all this. She said, yeah, she could probably arrange that for a table and we could set that up and everything. And they seem to like that idea. And I think it gives them a chance to showcase their work than just from us.
Yeah, because you're a lot of times at these retreats and with the crops and stuff like that, isn't it? You try and, when you're with a group of people, you learn more things from other people.
Yeah. So we'll just share our ideas in that, and actually maybe I'll get a few more people that might want to get involved. I think a lot of people think it's very intimidating because I always list basic supplies, and there's a lot of supplies, but I also put in there, you don't have to have everything the first time you come. And they're a great group because we all share, almost over the top, we all share our stuff. And I take a ton of stuff that I've collected with me all the time, and they just come up and help themselves to it because it's more stuff than I'll ever use. So, but they're a really great group for sharing stuff and whatnot for it. So yeah, if we can get people to see that we're not that intimidating, that anybody can come, there's no like, okay, if you've never taken the first class, you are not behind, doesn't matter. So we'll see how that works out. Oh, Roy says, ooh, an electric seam ripper. Yes, it's fun and it works.
It's just like a little shaver, though.
Yeah, basically you can trim your hair. Actually, that's why we were saying about manscaping, because actually you probably could. Ew. I only use it for ripping seams. Walter's getting his to show you what it looks like. I think I did show it on my vlog when I first got it. It just runs off a battery, and you take out your first couple of stitches and then you shave it through. And the way it's designed is the little cutting blades are so close together that it'll only cut your thread. It will not cut your material, your fabric. So you speed right through, I can tell you. So I think,
well, actually, mine is an electric. Mine is a battery-operated shaver.
Yours was marketed as that.
That's what the market is. But Steve bought one at the sewing store, and it's pink, right? But it's exactly the same as this one. So you can actually buy this at Walmart in the area where the shavers are and stuff like that.
And it was probably cheaper at Walmart than what I paid for it.
Well, a little bit, but it wasn't that much.
Because I paid $25 for it.
Well, I think it's about $20. Oh. So.
And you can get it on Amazon too.
Yeah, but it works. I've used it. It works really great.
It's great. So there you go, Roy. You might want to look into one of these things.
I mean, if you've got a long seam, you gotta rip out. You just start off with the first couple of stitches, and then just go right all the way down.
Yeah. Phyllis says, thanks, Steve. Very good class for those that look for small projects to teach. I guess, Phyllis, you're probably referring back to the bag and this as well. Yeah. Well, I might do one of these on Idiot Quilter when I get a chance with it. Roy says, I saved a few of the frame stands to make some for the church fair. I've made one prototype, and it's fun to make. Yeah, they're easy. There's nothing to it. Mel says, I'm just doing placemats of old records. Oh, okay. I'm just doing placemats of old records. Do you mean you're making placemats out of old LPs, out of old records, or kind of a hard placemat kind of a thing? I don't understand, Mel. You got to fill me in. And Roy says, oh my God, that's exactly my travel beard trimmer. So you got one. There you go. I don't know if I'd want to use one for both. I think I'd like to have separate, but whatever. Yeah, so our journal class was good. Okay, let's talk about wildlife, shall we? You know that we back onto a forest and we have lots of things like bunnies and birds and wolves and coyote and raccoons and skunks and squirrels
and
chipmunks and lots of things like that. And you know, like last week I showed you on the vlog, we had the bat. And
Batman.
Batty's probably under the deck in our patio area, hung up there, but that's okay. He won't not bother us. Whatever. He hibernates. But now we've got at least one mouse in the house. We've had mice in the house before. So Walter's set out traps, put peanut butter on it, and the little sucker gets the peanut butter without the trap going off. So what were you doing to solve that problem? You looked into
Well,
something?
no, I looked into a YouTube video about, I think it was getting onto the back of the trap and triggering it and then eating.
He's a smart mouse.
So I set up a little box or whatever, so he has to go in through the front. But then I noticed he wasn't showing up the last couple of days. So, but then in the meantime, I had put poison boxes here and there in other areas of the house. And I went downstairs and checked the one in the laundry room, which is near the crawl space. And sure enough, something's been munching it. And we haven't seen him since. So
No.
I think he may be drying up somewhere in the crawl space.
Well, we discovered him because, a week ago this past Monday, or was it just this past Monday?
This past Monday.
That's garbage day. It's when I gather up all the garbage, and I was taking out the garbage from underneath the kitchen sink, and I looked down on the floor of the kitchen sink area cupboard, and I see black rice. Now, we don't eat black rice. And I thought, uh-oh, we've got mousy turds. So I said to Walter, I left it there and says, so, that mouse stuff? He goes, yep. And there was a little bit behind one of our microwaves, too. So we cleaned that all up, and that's when Walter set the traps and whatnot. So we don't know where he is. We think he's down the crawl space, but if he's alive still, we don't
Well,
know.
he ate poison, so I don't know.
But I think that poison, doesn't that poison also just sort of dry up everything?
No,
in
it actually what it does is it makes your blood so it can't coagulate. You know, it's like warfarin, right?
Yeah.
It's like a major blood thinner. So they get internal bleeding and
Oh.
they die.
Oh, poor little things.
But then they dry out and you'll find a carcass sometime down the road when we're cleaning out the crawl space.
I mean, it's kind of, I don't like doing that, but then again, I don't want them in my house either. So, you know, what are you going to do?
Personally, I prefer to catch them and then throw them out. But I don't, but I mean, if I can catch them.
Well, they come back. It's like the cat came back. It's the same thing. And I think Mel says, where did I see it? Yeah, Mel says you should have a new cat. Well, you want to know something?
We had a mouse problem one time with the cat. The cat had no idea there was a mouse.
No.
And she was oblivious to it.
She was oblivious to it. Well, the thing was, I don't think she knew what a mouse was because the only thing she'd ever saw was what we used to call Ratty on a stick. She had this little toy mouse that was on a long little pole and like it had a suction cup on the end of it. You got them at the dollar store and you could stick it to something, they'd bounce around. And most of the time, the suction cup was long gone before you ever got around to it. But she would used to carry that around the house and she'd play with it. So I don't think she'd recognize a mouse unless there was a stick up its butt. So
Well, I think what happens is we don't really have a problem that often with a mouse.
No.
It usually seems to be one straggler that comes in. Like
We hope it's
leave
only
the
one.
door open or something. We hope it's only one. But I'll leave the poison out and stuff like that and keep an eye out.
and now that we don't have a cat, we can put the poison out because you're not supposed to put that out if you have small children or an
I
animal.
also have it in a
It's
feeding
self-contained.
station.
It's not just hanging out there by the handful kind of thing. But
Plus, because we had that, and we have what they call blown-in insulation, and it's in this house, and it's like cellulose-based. And the exterminator, I buy my poison at exterminator. And the exterminator says to me one time when we first had a problem, we had a problem right when we first moved in the house because the houses were all built on a field. So all the field mice were looking for a place to go, right? So anyway, so we had that problem and we got on it right away. And actually I went around and sealed any crevices open that could have caused them to come in.
yeah,
And what do you call it? The exterminator said to me, "Do you have blown-in insulation?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, they love to get
Of
into
course.
blown-in insulation."
Cozy right down, nice and
Right?
warm and
So
snug.
they suggested I buy poison and throw it into the attic.
Yeah.
Right. So, which I did. And I did this just in case they were up there. I don't know if they are up there now, but I threw some blocks of poison around the attic to, in case they were up there.
Yeah. So, anyways, that's what we get for backing onto a forested area, and it's been cold lately, really cold. So,
Really, really cold.
any opportunity that they can find that they can get in where it's warm. I mean, that poor little bat. That's what he was doing. He's going, "Oh my God, I'm sleeping outside. This is cold. Come on in." Felt sorry for the little bat. But you know, do you want a bat in your house? Really? They're not litter trained, so, and they're cute. Well, some people don't think bats are cute, but little brown bats are kind of cute. But I think mice are kind of cute too, but they don't scare me. And I don't like killing them.
Well,
Like,
not only that, they can have like fleas.
but they
on
can
them
have
and
like,
stuff
yes,
like
you
that.
don't want them.
And they can bring in,
They're vermin.
yeah.
So, and I mean, there is these little pads you can get. They sound cool.
I bought the sticky pads, but then I looked at how they worked on YouTube. I was reluctant to use.
Well, they get their little feet stuck in it, and then they can't get away. Well, they're
Well,
still
no, it's
alive.
not just that they can't get away. They sometimes pry themselves loose.
You know, well, then they got this thing stuck all over the place. But
Yeah.
I mean, just the thought, there it is, stuck there, and then you got to kill it.
Well, we used it one time, a long time ago, and one got stuck to it, was still alive, and I sort of drowned him in the toilet.
Oh, poor little things. But, you know, it's either them or us. So they're going to
Well,
lose.
the one on YouTube was all upset because they wanted to reuse their pad, and once the mouse got stuck to it, yeah, it was hard to pry them off.
Well,
I mean, once the thing gets stuck to it, like I throw the pad out, buy a new one.
but you have experience with pulling mice off of sticky things,
Oh,
don't you?
years ago when I was a teenager, I used to work for a theater,
Movie
you know,
theater.
the movie theater, and it was in a shopping mall, and they had a concourse down the center of the shopping mall, and I guess there's like all kinds of mice and rodents and stuff in there, right? Well, there was the pop that they served in the movie theater, or you know, they mixed the syrup and the carbonated water together, and one of the canisters had spilled out on the floor, so all the syrup had gotten out on the floor, and of course, being that of a movie theater, unless somebody actually takes the initiative to clean it up or whatever, so it all congealed on the floor, and it was like a sticky pad, right? Well, all these mice came up from the basement and got stuck in the syrup, right? And died, right? And my job was to pull the mice off. So basically, they had been there long enough that you pulled the mice. I had gloves on, of course. That you pulled them up and their little feet were still sticking.
Oh. Ooh, gross.
That was my first encounter with mice.
Yeah. And then Julie says, "There's never just one mouse." True. Yeah. The odds are there's more than one,
Yeah.
but hopefully we're getting them all out of that.
Well,
And-
I'm keeping stuff down and around and keeping your eye open in case we see any more black rice here and there.
Yeah, well, Julie also says, Julie number 1 says, a cat would solve that. Laugh out loud.
No.
Not necessarily.
Our cat didn't solve anything.
Well, I was watching something the other night on YouTube about cats and mice and the whole bit, and apparently, cats will not necessarily, especially if they've been kept indoors and they're well fed in the whole bit, they won't necessarily go automatically and hunt down a mouse and kill it, because why bother? It's
Well,
work.
years ago, we went to one of his principal's
House.
school principal places.
Yeah. Well, house.
Their
Yes,
house.
that's what's called.
And they lived in a century home, which is, old wooden floors and stuff like that. And I think they still had like a dirt floor in the basement.
Yeah, they had a
And-
floor.
They had mice in their basement. They had 3 cats. And
Yep.
and Wayne said, Yeah, we have 3 cats, and they're all totally useless at catching mice.
Yep. They don't care. They're like, whatever, mouse. I have gourmet cat food over here. I could eat you. Gourmet cat food tastes better. Go on with that. And that might be effort. And you see videos too where people have little white mice as pets and they have a cat and the little white mouse is like crawling over the cat and the cat's just laying there like going whatever kind of a thing. So, it's not necessarily a guarantee that a cat
I mean,
is
we
going
did
to
have a mouse one time come in. I think he came in when had the door open because we have a garage and there's mice out in the garage. I know that because I have poison out there, and poison gets eaten.
We have poison everywhere.
And well, anyway, if you leave the door open to the garage from the inside, we have a door that goes from the house to the garage. You leave that open too long, and one can come scurrying in.
Yeah, well, don't leave it open.
No, I don't, but I don't know how long cleaning lady leaves it open.
Oh,
Because we had that problem after the cleaning lady was last year.
Maybe we should warn Stacy. Mice, are you afraid of them? Like, whatever. What are people saying? Roy says, Steve, just be careful not to upset Walter too much. I'd ask him to take a sip of my champagne before I drink it. And, Carol's here. Hi, Carol. Carol also says the little field mice are cute, but I don't want them in my house. Yeah,
No,
exactly,
I know.
because they are cute. I remember years ago, I said to Walter, "Well, let's use humane traps." We were afraid they were outside at that point, but by our hot tub, and we were afraid that they would eat their way into the insulation in our hot tub and into the wiring, right? Because they will do that. And so we set up humane traps to catch them. We took them for a little ride. Dropped him out in a field somewhere. Well, geez, he was back. Or he had friends. Anyways, I said, okay, we tried to do the humane thing. Kill the little suckers. Now.
There's too many of them anyway.
Yeah, I know. But they are cute. There's no two
Well,
ways
and then when
about
you
it.
trap them, their eyes bug out even more.
Well, I don't want to touch them when they're dead. I don't
That seems
like
to be
dead
my
things.
job.
People shouldn't play with dead things. We should have had a kid.
Somehow,
Don't get like kids do
that
it.
somehow it became my job to do that.
Well, you're so big and strong and such a man. I'll just get up on a chair and go, eek, eek, eek,
Actually,
mouse.
Funny story was one time when it was really cold out, and I was at my mom's place on a Sunday night, and my 2 sisters were over. A mouse did sort of come into the house through an open door. Was running around. My sisters were standing on the furniture. It was like a cartoon. My sisters were standing on the furniture, yelling, screaming, "A mouse! A mouse! A mouse!"
You should analyze that because that's sort of the stereotype that women will stand up because we've seen it in cartoons from back in the days before things were politically correct, and women standing on chairs and screaming that there was a mouse. But why would you stand on a chair? Because a mouse can climb.
Yeah.
They don't have a problem going up the side of a chair.
I said, I managed to catch it in a shoebox, throw it back outside. But it was funny because, they were all screaming and screaming.
Well, my mother did that
I said,
once
it's only
too.
a mouse. What are you worried about?
My mother did that too once. I remember we lived in a Century home back when I was a kid, before we moved to this area of Ontario. And we had bats in the house, and we had mice in the house. And my mother would see a mouse, and she'd be right up on the counter going, "A mouse, a mouse!" And my father would tease her about it. And then I think there was one time she opened up a kitchen cupboard, and she was eyeball to eyeball with the mouse. And it was there. But I don't know why. My sister, too, is a little bit.
Yeah, because she works at that flower shop.
Yeah, and she says although she's a little better than the other ones because
Yeah.
I think they send her down to look after the mouse
Yeah.
problem. So my sister's gotten used to that. But I don't know, what is it? Why is it that women are afraid of mice? Like I could see that as being a stereotype, but there's so many of them. Because I was talking about this at the retreat on the weekend, and there were a bunch of women there going, "Ooh, I hate a mouse. Oh, why? They're only little things. I could see a rat. Okay, rats.
it's
are
a little
different.
creepy that you have this thing in your house. But
I know, but
I always worry, getting into our food and stuff like that.
well, that you don't want because they're in there, and then and they do carry I don't know how much disease a mouse actually carries with
Well,
it, but
it
they
can.
can have little fleas on them, and you don't want those in your house.
No.
But I just remember Cleo, like those times we had the bats, and she just laid there like, yeah, could you get
But it can
that?
carry stuff like, food poisoning and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
well, that's true. Well, you don't want other creatures that are not domesticated like a cat or a dog in your house. Simple as that. Speaking of cats, totally off topic, but related to the retreat, there was a lady. I heard this. We had just finished lunch, and I went back to my workstation, and I heard this meow, meow, and I thought it was somebody's phone. You know, like how people will set up cute little sounds for their ringing. I go, and I think somebody's phone's ringing. Someone says, no, that's an actual cat. I said, there's a cat here? And I got thinking maybe the hall had a cat that lived there or something. No, there was a lady with a service cat. Now, they told me she used to have a service dog, but the dog passed away, and this is her service cat. Well, I love cats. And I went right over to see it, and she had it in like a cat carrier, one of those canvas net kind of things. Actually, it was like a little tent trailer. It had a little extension part that came out too. And it was a black cat. Maybe she's a witch. It was a familiar. I don't know.
Did she have long gray hair and a pointed hat?
Well, no hat. But anyways, so I went over and I'm sort of like put my finger to it, like not poking it, but like, oh, you little sweetie, because I'm a sucker for cats. I just love cats. And, but I thought, well, maybe the poor little thingy has to go, to the litter and I got thinking, she's been here since 9:30 this morning. This is now 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't see any food for the cat. And not like a dog. When a dog has to go to the bath, you just take him out on the leash, right? But a cat, you don't really do that. They usually have a litter box, unless they're an outdoor cat, and they just do it in somebody's flower bed. But, I kind of thought, well, what's this? But I guess she's a service cat. Now, I'm wondering if it's one of those, people now have these stress animals or whatever they call them because they suffer from some kind of stress. So they have animals to help them cope with that. I don't know. But there it was. So I don't know what you do with it. But it was a baby. And I love the little babies. They're so cute. Anyways, what are people saying? Carol says, I'd much rather have to catch a mouse than a roach. Hate those bugs. Yeah, I agree. I do not like insects. They're something that creep me out, and cockroaches definitely creep me out. God, I hope we don't have any cockroaches. No. I'm sure we don't, but if I saw a cockroach in the house, we'd be moving. Carol says, hantavirus mouse droppings, possibly SP. Oh, okay. Well, we're not eating them. We're just sucking them up in the vacuum cleaner. And Julie says, Julie number 2, I've heard of mice getting into people's beds to stay warm. Is that what I've been feeling? I thought it was, they're so cute, little tongue nippling in your toes. That reminds me of a little verse. One summer when I was a student, I worked in a factory, and there was another lady working in the factory. We worked in the office, and she was just a scream and a half, and she loved cats too. And she had this little saying. It was a little poem. How'd it go? It's from a cat's perspective. It goes, love the little mousies. Mousies are what I love to eat. Bite the little heads off. Nibble the little feet. I thought that was so funny. And what we would do in the middle of the day, we were both using computer terminals. And this is back in the day when there weren't any personal computers. This was actually hooked up to a mainframe kind of a thing. And we're entering data into it. And we had we faced each other with our computer monitors between us. And halfway through the day, she just pop over the top and she goes, mousies, what I love the little mousies. And I'd go, mousies, what I love to eat. And she'd go, bite the little heads off. And he'd go, nibble the little feet. Okay, you had to be there. But she actually, when I was leaving that summer from that job, she bought me a coffee mug that I had for years. It's gone now. Had that little saying on the side of it. Anyways, I digress. Okay, whatever. So, anyways, that's our mouse problem. We'll keep you in tune. Hey, idea. Prize on the on the YouTube channel. I'll draw your name out of a hat for those who have chat, and we'll send you a mouse carcass. Won't that be fun? Make them into a quilt. Whatever. Oh, Roy, you can make them into a purse. A little mouse purse. A little clutch. Okay. I've had too much champagne. No, I'm tired. All right, moving on. What's newsworthy? Is anything happening in the news this week? In our area? We still have the same assholes, our premier, so that's no news there. Things have been quiet from the state side.
Yeah, well, now that everybody's...
Are they back to work?
I think so.
But didn't he give a deadline until the
February
15th?
15th, I think.
And then what's that mean?
I'm not sure. I think he's threatening another shutdown, but I don't know exactly what's going to happen. Because, I mean, what's another shutdown going to do? It's going to be...
Just make a lot of people's lives miserable.
Miserable again for another...
Well, apparently they're supposed to get back pay.
Yeah.
But I don't know how much of a guarantee that is. Those poor people, I hope they do get back pay.
They should.
I mean, really. It's none of this is their fault and they're being held hostage. But in our province...
Oh, Mr. Ford keeps cutting stuff.
Yes. Keeps cutting things.
Cutting services.
Yeah, cutting services because we have this deficit, don't you know? Show me a government that doesn't have a deficit. It's a way of life with the government.
I don't know what the big push is to get rid of the deficit. Actually, they're not going to get rid of the deficit. All they're going to do is channel the money to their own causes that they want.
Yeah. Well, he's talking now about healthcare. Oh yeah, the healthcare. They're drafting up some kind of legislation to create a new law or something that...
They're creating a new body that oversee the healthcare system.
Yeah, but...
Right now we have like 13 or 14 what they call LHINs. They're long...
Oh, yeah, long-term... What we used to call the CCAC.
Yeah,
which you have to go through to get into a nursing
Yeah, well,
home.
they apparently do more than just nursing home stuff, right? Well, now they want one super body looking after it. And that there's the opposition parties seem to think it's opening the door to private health care.
Oh. Yeah, just what we need. The American model. No.
I mean, they're claiming that's not what they're doing, but
yeah, but that's what they will.
You know for sure that that's a lie.
Oh, yeah. Of course it is. They want to download everything to the private sector, and that just means we'll pay more and get less service. But whatever.
But that's what you got with conservative government.
Yeah. He's an idiot. Roy says he's going to declare, Trump he means, a national emergency which will enable him to move money from the Pentagon to build the wall. It's going to face a lot of legal challenges, but he has stacked the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Why? This damn wall thing. I mean, it is so ludicrous. Like, anybody with half a brain knows how stupid this is. Well, apparently Trump doesn't have half a brain. So...
Well, not only that, you don't just need the wall. You still need forces to make sure that the wall's intact.
Are the Mexicans that big of a threat to the Americans? I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. We need to have a wall on the 49th parallel, really, to keep guns out of our country that come from the States. Through the States and the whole bit. So, but do you see Justin going, oh, yeah, we're going to put up a wall? Yeah.
We got too much border.
We can climb. Mexicans are going, put up a wall. We have ladders. We're not a third world country. We know how to climb a wall, all right? Like,
or bury under, or tunnel underneath.
Yeah. It's like
or take the ocean and go around.
Yeah, well, actually, they said that most of the illegal immigrants, again, in the States are not coming across, not sneaking across the border of Mexico. They're coming in by plane and other things, too. So, I mean, and yet, I go through American security, and I have to go into that little thing that goes around and takes a naked picture of me. I hope you got your jollies, people. Ha! Like that. So I don't know. Anyways, get off the topic of that because it's old news. Carol says, dig under. Yeah. Roy says, are the Americans that much of a threat to Canada to build a wall? Americans are not a threat to Canada. Americans have never been a threat to Canada. Let's go back in history, shall we? Let's talk about the War of 1812. Americans lost. We gotcha. But that's because we had this woman called Laura Secord. She's famous for making chocolates. She passed through the American enemy lines to warn the British troops that the Americans were coming by simply opening up a box of her chocolate miniatures and passing them out from tree to tree. That's how she went through. And everybody knows that takes Canadian history. Laura Secord, thank God for chocolates. Okay? Another Canadian moment. Or what do we call those? Those things that used to come on TV, a heritage moment or something. No. We didn't win. The British won. It was 1812. We weren't a country yet. We were still a British colony and the whole bit. But the fact is, Americans have never represented a threat to Canadians. And Canadians have never represented a threat to Americans. We've gotten along ever since, well, after the War of 1812, after we beat their ass, we've gotten along with them really well. That's not a problem at all. So we don't need a wall. What we need is to screen their television shows so we don't have to watch stupidity. But then all we have is the CBC, and, well, that's stupid on its own level, so I guess we need the networks. Whatever. But he turns around and insults our Prime Minister on more than one occasion. Of course, he does that to everybody, so I suppose we shouldn't feel unique about it. You know, we're good neighbors. We've been friendly for years with everybody in the States. Why is he trying to make everybody seem like an enemy? I don't know. Whatever. What do we got left of him? 2 more years? And there's the problem.
2 more years.
That's the
maybe
one problem.
6 more years.
Oh, God. He gets in a second time, then I'm sorry. But I'm going to declare America the stupidest country on the face of the planet if he gets in for a second term. Simple as that. Mind you, if our premier, who's got aspirations to be prime minister, becomes prime minister...
Yeah, well, we're as stupid as...
Oh, we're immigrating to Australia. I'm telling you, we're leaving this country. Bye, Mom. Enjoy the home. So, whatever. Carol says, bite your tongue, Walter.
What?
I'm not sure what you said that you have to bite your tongue on, but whatever. Just do it. So anyways, yeah, so that's about all this news.
I don't know what I said.
I don't know what you said either. Oh, this is something we were going to talk about last week, but we didn't talk about it. And actually, now it looks like we're picking on Americans again. Well, it happened in the States, but it's not about Americans. It's about anybody. The Apple Store incident. Remember? We went into the Apple Store in that mall.
Oh, yeah, the Apple Store incident. What happened was we went into the Apple Store, and I saw
when we're in Florida.
Yeah, I saw that they had the HomePods on display, their version of Amazon Echo or whatever, right? So I just wanted to hear what the sound of the HomePod was, right? They didn't have them turned up or anything like that. So, but they had a button that you can turn them up, right? So I went over there and I turned up the HomePod to make it louder.
So you can hear it.
Right? And then all of a sudden there's this woman standing there off to the left a little bit, and she's waving at me. She's making a phone call inside the Apple Store, and she didn't like the fact that I turned up the HomePod.
What she said was, could you turn that down? I'm on a very important business call. Then why are you in an Apple Store making a business call?
Standing in an Apple Store that's loud as hell anyway.
Yeah.
Because everybody's talking in there and everything
Like,
else.
have you ever been in an Apple Store when it's dead silent, like a library?
I mean, it was busy in there. It was really,
they're
really
always
busy in there. And she's standing over by the HomePods, which are speakers, and making a phone call, and she's getting ticked off because I turned up the speaker.
the whole bit. Like, go out into the mall area or someplace quiet if you're making an important business call, not in the middle of an Apple store. So, as we're going out of the store, you know, they always have greeters standing there and whatnot. And something clicked in me, and this happens every now and then. I have no control over it. Something snaps, and I go and I said to the guy, you know, I said, I came in here to check out a speaker, and there's a woman in here who's making a very important business call, and I can't listen to your speaker. And he says, well, that's not right. You should be able to listen to the speaker. Yeah, well, I'm telling you, you just lost a sale. Bye-bye. Well, actually, I wasn't going to buy it anyways. But it just ticked me off at that point. But, you know, like if you're making a call, and this doesn't just happen with people making business calls. Everybody's got their cell phone, right? All the time. And I've had, on more than one occasion, I have been in a store where somebody's on their phone talking away, and Walter and I are talking about something, or I'm saying something, right? And they're going, shh, I'm on the phone. This isn't your house. This is a Walmart. Okay?
Go find a really quiet spot
go to your car.
to make a phone call.
Make the bloody call.
Because that's what I do. If I
Yeah.
need to make a phone call in a store or something like that, I'll go to a very quiet area of the store, or I'll go outside or something.
Like, but
It
this
really annoys me when suddenly people feel that you're invading their space because they have to make a phone call and you're in a public place.
You're standing in front of the cream corn in a can trying to decide what brand to buy, and you're talking about this over with your spouse, and somebody's making an important call. I'm sorry, what's more important? My decision to buy cream corn or your conversation on the phone, which is probably about, yeah, like, so I saw her last week, and oh my God, you should have saw what she was wearing. She's such a tramp. All right, like, really? No. Cream corn's more important. Okay.
But
So-
anyway, so yeah, that was an incident that occurred. It kind of annoyed me because I was in there thinking that it's an inviting place for me to listen to a speaker.
Well, it's set up
and then
so
all
you do
of a sudden
that.
I get scolded by somebody that's in
And
there.
that's the part that pissed me off. She's scolding us, and I felt like a little school kid again that I had done something wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. And if I'd had the presence of mind, and if I was the kind of person that could be calm under all circumstances, which I can't be.
Actually, what I should have done is turned it up louder.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. We should just, I'm sorry, I am hearing impaired. I need to hear the speaker. Thank you. Okay.
Now you're making fun of that.
I know I shouldn't do that. That's not funny. I didn't mean to insult anybody that might be deaf. So if you heard that, ignore it. Never mind. Oh, I'm tired. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm tired. When I get tired, I get punchy. And hilarious. I am a legend in my own mind. Anyways, what are people saying? And let's see. Phyllis says, we had the food service contract at the Army base in El Paso. The Mexicans were a large part of our workforce. They had working permits and paid their tax, etc., and were making better money. They were happy with that arrangement, and so were we. Yeah. I mean, those people just want to come into the States for what they think might be a better quality of life. Suckers. With it all. But, I mean, yeah. I am sure the majority of them are not, what did Trump say they were? Criminals, murderers, rapists, and drug dealers. How to whitewash a whole civilization. Yeah. Andy says, this is yet another example why I prefer horses to people. Yeah. And Roy says, and Phyllis, I'll bet they were hardworking and wonderful folk. Were you jealous of their lunch pails? Tacos for everyone. No, that's kind of racist. Phyllis says, they were wonderful, worked side by side with military dependents, and the mess sergeant allowed them to bring their lunches, along with Asians that worked there. I could take what you just said, Phyllis, in several different ways, but I'm not sure which way is the correct way. Let me read that again. Worked side by side with military dependents, and the mess sergeant allowed them to bring their lunches along with the Asians that worked there. You mean that normally they wouldn't have been allowed to have lunch? And what do the Asians have to do with it? Except for the fact if they brought fish and it's smelly when they make that, because it is smelly. I'm sorry, but it smells.
I worked with a lot of Asian people.
Then they used to pop it in the microwave and like.
Well, then they sort of suggested at work that you can't bring anything smelly.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever. So, moving on. What are we watching on TV? Okay, I'm watching right now a superhero thing called Titans, which is kind of dark. It's got Robin in it. You know, it's in Robin and Batman. And he's kind of split up with Batman in this, and he's like out for blood. Like he's killing the criminals. He's not doing like sort of that. Let's tie them up and with a big cloud that says "POW" over the top of it and take them off to the chief of police or whatever. And there's a couple of others, and there's one character in this that sort of seems to be in league with the devil. So I'm not sure where this is going, but it's interesting. But if you want to see, and I think someone might have mentioned this last week or whatever, a funny show, Sex Education. We were sort of blitzing it or binging on the first 4 or 5 episodes earlier in the week. It's a British comedy, and British comedies are always funny.
And actually, there's a lady that plays in there as a mother that's a sex therapist.
Sex therapist, yeah.
And it's Gillian Anderson. She's the one that played in the X-Files.
Yeah.
That's the female lead. And
Scully.
It took me a while. I didn't realize it was her, but I thought, geez, she looks familiar. And I looked it up on the internet later on and found out it was her. And yeah, it's her. It's just that she looks very different. Plays a very different role.
But it is good. It is funny. And I can't...
And it's the acting and everything is really well put together.
Yeah, it's good series. So if you haven't heard of it or haven't seen any of it yet, and if you have Netflix, I highly recommend that you check that one out.
It's a British TV series.
Yeah, and just to back up, Phyllis says the rule is that no other food can be brought into the mess. The sergeant would bend the rule. Oh, so in other words, they had to eat what the army was going to give them. They didn't bring their own, kind of a thing. So I guess Taco Tuesdays wasn't a thing then in the mess or whatever. But I don't know. I punned. At the movies, we watched we rented this one actually, and from our internet service television provider, called First Man. It's the one about Neil Armstrong and going to the moon.
It was good, but it was.
I don't know if I'd wanted paid money to see it at the show.
No.
And actually, we thought we were paying like about $6.99 to watch it on demand, kind of a thing. But it isn't. We got a freebie because they had a special that month. You could get one movie free. So we didn't know that, so it was a freebie. It's worth watching if you can get it on whatever.
It's a long movie.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know, it can be a little draggy at times.
Yeah, I think what the appeal is for those of us that were around and remember when Neil Armstrong landed on the moon and took, the first steps on the moon. Anybody that's younger than us who weren't around for that time period, I don't think they would be interested in it at all. I think its appeal is to those of us who remember that time period. That is, if they really did land on the moon or it was just a sound stage that they faked it all. Who knows? Right? But it's not bad. Well, Phil says they were all allowed lunch time. They were union workers. If they couldn't bring their own food, they were given free or reduced price lunches. Wow. That sounds like a good deal to me. But whatever. Okay. Bad news. Sad news. We just found it last night. I have reviewed this YouTube channel before in the past. There is a guy on YouTube his name is Steve Hall. He has Cooking with Shotgun Red. He's from Tennessee. He's a guy that's been around for many years. He has a little character. He used to be a puppeteer kind of thing with this character called Shotgun Red. I guess if you watch the country and western station, TNT or whatever they call it.
TNN.
Or TNN, whatever it is, TNN. It's TNT. That's something you blow things up with.
The Nashville Network.
Nashville Network, whatever. I guess you would know who this guy was. Anyways, we were watching his cooking show and that he puts on YouTube with Miss Sheila, which I just think is so funny because, I don't know, my sense of humor. But he used to go, and we got Miss Sheila working on the camera in the back there. Say hello, Sheila. Hi. little voice would come out all the time. So Sheila, she doesn't like those kind of stuff, do you, Sheila? No! I always thought that was funny. But anyways, we were watching it last night.
And we noticed that, actually, we did sort of notice that he hadn't put any new videos up for about a month, and he's usually pretty regular
Yeah.
at putting videos up. But anyway, so we were watching it.
We watched him making this god-awful soup that somebody at some dinner theater...
I'm sure it tastes very good, but
It would kill you.
definitely not low calorie.
Like it was, like, what did he
Well,
call
it
it?
was-
It was hash brown potato soup.
and it had like
Frozen
quarter of
hash
a
browns,
pound, frozen hash browns, a quarter of a pound of butter,
frozen onions,
frozen onions,
a whole quart or liter of half and half cream,
plus cream cheese,
plus a
regular
whole
cheese.
thing of a whole package of cream cheese, plus regular shredded cheese in it, and cream corn. But okay, I love cream corn, but we get cream corn. It comes in a can. They had a roll. It looked like cookie
frozen.
dough. It was frozen. It looked like a roll of cookie dough, frozen, and
I've never seen that.
I've never seen that. That must be something in the southern United States that they get on a regular basis.
Anyway,
All that went into a crock pot. And anyways, he did this all up and everything, heart attack on a plate kind of thing. Well, must have been because he's dead. He died on December the
28th.
One report I saw said the 31st,
No, it
but
was the
then you saw
28th.
20. Well, how do you know? Because the one report I
I
saw said
read
the
it
31st.
on there,
but I read it on here.
His son
Well,
confirmed that he died on 28th.
Well, maybe
or
his
29th.
son suffers from senility and doesn't know. Who knows? I don't know. Anyways, he's dead. So I guess no more Shotgun Red. Although you read that Miss Sheila might be taking it over.
Yeah, I don't know.
Miss Sheila was his fiance, I guess, or whatever.
I think long-term partner, but they never got married.
No. But anyways, which I think is kind of sad. He was 64 years old.
Yeah.
He was very much overweight, and the stuff that he was cooking on that show was just more fun to watch. You didn't really want to make it, although you made one of his recipes.
Which one?
Not too long ago. It was a soup or something.
Maybe, okay.
It had
yeah.
stuff in it.
I made, what was that I made?
I don't know, but you
I
altered
made
it.
something, but I had to alter it because I couldn't get all the ingredients.
Forget what that was. It was something. It was like a chili. Oh, it was a Mexican soup or
Yeah, that was the Mexican soup, yeah.
yeah, which was basically more like a chili.
Yeah.
But whatever. But I go ahead and miss him because his show was kind of entertaining.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, you
And I actually felt very sad.
yeah,
that
I
he
did
had
because
passed
that was
away.
like suddenly.
Because he had a really nice personality and everything
Yeah.
else.
And the reason we found out he had died is because there was a little program on his channel showing, like, I guess he was a regular on some very popular show from Tennessee or something, with his character Shotgun Red. His name was Steve Hall. And he was a musician as well and stuff like that. And so they were showing highlights of these shows that he had been on and whatnot. And at the end of this little program showing all this stuff, it said, Steve Hall, 1954, 2018. I think it was 20, or was it 19?
Yeah.
Yeah. On that, no, it must have been 56. 1956. No, 55. Whatever, he was 64 years old. And that kind of thing. And I said, is he dead? So we looked it up on the internet. Yeah, he's dead. No more Shotgun Red. So I thought that was kind of sad. Well, isn't that pleasant? What are people saying? Yeah, Andy says, I call that an artery clogging meal. Oh yeah, everything he made was. All of it was bad for you.
Well, I said they passed away from natural causes. You didn't say what, but
No.
I have a feeling that it was a heart attack or
Yeah.
something like that.
Well, he was immensely overweight, and this food, if he actually ate this stuff, he was.
And it
cooking.
wasn't expected. So.
No, it came on stop. But anyways, speaking of what's cooking, okay, so I'm at this retreat, right? And so Walter's kind of on his own. So he took advantage of not having to cook anything that I had to eat. And one of his favorite foods are beets. I absolutely hate beets. Especially, I don't hate pickled beets, but I hate what they call Harvard beets. My mother used to love those, and she'd serve them. They come out of a can. They're slimy and gooey. I think they're in vinegar or something. I don't know what they're
I
in.
made my own version.
Yeah, he has his own version. So I come home. Did you do that Friday night?
Yeah.
I come home Friday night, and the house smells like BO. That's what it smells like to me.
No, that was after I made soup.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Whatever. Yeah, it was. Okay. But, anyways, there was a weird smell. And I said, what? Oh, no, it smelled like something had burned. I said, what'd you burn?
No, it was burning, yeah.
And he said, I didn't burn it. He says, I fried up some bacon. Oh, okay. And he made beets.
Yeah, you have to make beets, Harvard beets, mash them up with your potatoes, right? Then you have to cook up your bacon. We call it speck in Holland.
Speck.
But anyway,
Okay.
bacon, right? And then what you do is you mix your beets up with your potatoes and with some bacon grease.
Ow! I just see vomit. That's all I see right now. Do we have that left or what?
No, it's done.
Oh, it's done.
Anyway, so it was very tasty.
I'm sure it was. Smelled like crap. Glad I wasn't home for that. So that was what's cooking this week. Beets. What we're
And
having.
then on Saturday when you were gone, I had an urge for some beef barley soup, and we had a couple of beef bones in the freezers. For ones that I cut out of prime ribs.
Oh, okay.
Because when I get a prime rib, I cut the bone out.
There's humor in that somewhere.
And I freeze them. And then I use the bones for meat, for soup.
Okay. So whatever. Well, I like beef barley soup, so that's fine. No problem there. But whatever. So, the cat's away, the mouse will cook. Whatever. Maybe that's why we haven't seen the mouse. You didn't put that in with the beets. Ooh,
No.
ick. Whatever. So that's it. Tonight for dinner, we're having something that I made, but it's the leftovers. I made a couple of pans of chicken tetrazzini, and it's delicious. And we're having that with salad. But anyways, Phyllis says she loves Harvard beets right out of the jar. No. Get thee behind me, Satan. Oh, God. My mother...
I like them warmed up.
Oh, my mother loves them, and she used to serve them on a regular basis at home, and she was such a sadistic person because she knew I hated them, that I'd have mashed potatoes on my plate, and I wouldn't take any of the beets. She said, you're going to have some of those beets. I don't want the beets. You're going to have beets. And she'd take a big spoonful, and she'd slap them down my plate, and they'd all bleed into my mashed potatoes.
You just mix them up.
Oh, the grossest thing on the face of the earth. Slimy, gooey beets. Ooh. But anyways, on that note, I think we should go. Roy loves them too. Oh, what is it, people? Really, if man was intended to eat beets...
Well, they have
He
beets
wasn't intended
in
to.
Australia. They have beetroot on hamburgers.
Yeah, but actually, though, that's pickled.
Yeah.
I don't mind pickled beets. But these Harvard beets are just slime.
No,
They just made
they're
them into
not.
slime. They're slime.
Yummy.
They're slime.
I made my own Harvard beets.
Yeah, but you still made slime. Whatever. Okay, so I think it's time to go. We didn't freeze up. Really good. Everything's been there. It's nice talking to everybody. And we'll see you all next week at the regular time, 4 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I hope you have a good week. And
Enjoy the Super Bowl.
enjoy the Super Bowl if you're
Starting
into that.
now.
Yep. And we'll talk to you all later. Bye-bye. Say goodbye, Walter.
Bye.